Hi Glendale, I'm Meg Keller.
And I'm Michaela Injami.
And you're watching the Glendale 411. You wouldn't expect this teacher to be a small business owner.
Emerald Davis and Hannah Martin have the story.
Jenelle Metzger is new to Glendale, but she is not new to the world of quilting.
Basically 7 years ago, I had already been designing my own projects, and I was a stay-at-home mom working with my husband growing his business, and I enjoyed the entrepreneurship side of helping him grow his lawn and landscape service. And so February of 2011, I decided I would create Night Owl Quilting because I had young children, and so I did all of my quilts late at night. I work with 6 major distributors in the quilting and sewing industry, and they have sales reps that then help do the sales for me. So I'm not exactly sure how many stores my stuff has been featured in. They organize what's called a trunk show. And so a quilt store owner can request your projects to be shipped from store to store, and my It As Well and my Sunrise Stag projects, those are being shipped around the country for that right now. Some of my favorite experiences in this business have been going to International Quilt Market. Because I don't like to spend a lot of time searching sewing blogs and competing with social media, that's just not what I enjoy. It's nice for me to go and see the big picture of what's going on in the industry. I went to this really neat convention called SewPro in Chicago. It was for people who were already getting their foot in the door with the sewing industry, and they wanted to know how to grow their business. And so there were 150 of us that went to this convention in Chicago, and we were able to meet with really successful people that gave us good guidance as to how they grew, how they were successful. Met this amazing story of a girl who just started a sewing blog, and now she has her own do-it-yourself blog. She's featured in all of the Joann stores, and she's making thousands and thousands of dollars a month doing this. But I've always honored my family over the career. I wanted to use my mind to engage it and to use my creativity. My best sales are when I'm snuggling my children or when I'm taking care of my household. And I'm still working, but keeping what I want to value for the mission of my company.
There's a lot of preparation that goes into school dances.
Amanda Zimmerman and I take a deeper look.
Glendale Cabinet and their sponsor, Mr. Thomas, have been planning LPA for months in advance.
I leave that image or that idea up to the art commissioner and the social commissioner, which the art commissioner is Lydia this year, and our social commissioner is Marissa. So they're the inspiration behind the entire dance theme.
I start out looking on Pinterest for ideas that I have, and then usually Marissa helps me a lot with ideas, and Chloe and Ruthann and everybody. So it's just kind of thinking of big things, and then we add little things as we go.
Cabinet relies on help from student council members to create decorations for school dances.
So our underclassmen are required to help participate in at least 2 of the work days that we provide after school that are an hour long. So we try to give them tasks that are easy for them to accomplish that might be tedious or something that needs to be painted or quickly done that can be done within an hour.
In an effort to lower cost, Cabinet makes a majority of their decorations by hand.
Most of the decorations are handmade. We really try to not spend a lot of money, but get enough supplies to make it unique. That way it can be their own personal touches on things. And we try to save things from year to year, especially fabric and any lights that we have. That way we can keep the cost down for the student ticket price.
After hours of preparation, the theme is clearly portrayed.
So the theme for LPA this year is Party of a Lifetime. And it's kind of a twist off of The Great Gatsby. So they're really trying to put a lot of elegant feels of golds and whites into the dance. But I think it has their own little twist this year because the senior classes has a lot of personality. So they want to be the glitz and the glam and showcase that.
After all the work is done, I feel so relieved and accomplished. It's so fun to look at all of it come together.
There's a dark secret surrounding the Springfield Square.
Audrey Mace, Caitlin West, and Chase Cantrell have the story.
Most Springfield citizens don't know the tragic story behind events that happened in 1906 to 3 men named Horace Duncan, Fred Kroger, and Will Allen that took place in Springfield's downtown square.
So the story kind of goes, there's these 2 guys who were incorrectly charged with a crime, and I can't remember the specific details. I remember it involved a white individual, and I want to say it was a female. Something negative happened to her, and these two guys' names were brought up. Their employer vouched for him, who was a white guy. He vouched for him and said, nope, they were here at this time. There's no way they could have been the ones who did this crime. They had already been taken to the jail at that point. Their employer came and vouched for him, so they were let go. But word had spread around the town, and so they were then taken back to the jail for protection purposes. And that's when the mob broke into the jail, grabbed these two guys out, plus a third guy who was not named in the original issue at all, and then took all three of them out to the square, and that's where the lynching occurred.
It's interesting because Springfield at that time was kind of a refuge for some African Americans who were experiencing problems in smaller communities in the area. So when the lynchings happened in Springfield, all of a sudden what felt like a safe place for many was a place where they no longer felt safe.
I mean, it's 1906, so it's not the most socially aware time period. We're making some headway, though. I mean, we're on the cusp of women saying, "Hey, we would like to vote too." Of course, African Americans had the right to vote, but that was on paper, not in practice, in most places in the nation.
I mean, the fundamental tension that you had was African Americans weren't treated as full citizens by some people in society. And that's going to be the big source of a lot of tension.
The Equal Justice Initiative will open a memorial in April located in Montgomery, Alabama, honoring lynching victims. The Springfield victims will be included among the names.
Arguably, a memorial would nod to the history that happened, to the lives that were lost, to obviously tremendously unfair punishment that happened. I mean, lynch mobs there was no justice. There was no presumption of innocence. You were assumed to be guilty by the color of your skin. So arguably, having a memorial would help correct some of that. But I think the larger problem still remains. There are still problems in Alabama and everywhere in this country where you're still presumed guilty by the color of your skin.
Despite being an imperfect town, Springfield attempts to right its wrongs. Sky Lawson talks about the Black Lives Matter protest she organized on the square.
I think it's important, especially to be talking about it in Springfield. A lot of people were kind of messaging me and asking me why I felt it was necessary to do something like this in Springfield, because nothing like that happens in Springfield, and Springfield isn't like any particular hub for racism or racial tension or anything. But again, it's been happening for hundreds of years, and if it happened right where we were standing hundreds of years later, I recognize that we have come a long way, but there's still a long way to go.
Glendale teachers are full of surprises.
Tanner Brady and Sarah Snelson have the story.
Mrs. Shelly Foltz, an English teacher at Glendale, is also a published author. She describes her books as well as her inspiration.
The first one was called No Penalty for Love, and then the second book is called Love Under a Dark Sky. They're wholesome romance novels, which is not anything I ever thought that I would write. The first one came from ice hockey, believe it or not. I'm a Missouri State Ice Bears fan, and I was just learning about the sport. So that summer I thought, well, what if my hero was a professional hockey player? And then the second book is about an astronomer. But it just was something kind of bubblegumish and fun, and I had characters that I thought were pretty good in my mind and some scenarios. I really did them just for fun, for me. I'd always enjoyed writing, and I was facing my 40th birthday, and I thought, if I'm ever going to do this, I need to do it now. It's something that's been a part of my life for so many years. I don't even know how to not do it. It's just what I do.
I think Miss Foltz is a very outgoing person and very kind, and she's a good teacher. She details herself a lot in class. She likes to elaborate on things, and the word choice that you use, or how you write your essays and how you write your stories and stuff. She puts herself into her teaching.
I have several projects I'm working on right now at home, but nothing that has really at this very moment been like, this is the one, this is going to be the next one.
To read Miss Foltz's books, they're available at the Glendale Library, your local Barnes & Noble, and Amazon.
Thanks for watching.
Make sure to check us out on social media at the Glendale 411.
Signing out, I'm Meg Keller.
And I'm Michaela Injami.